What's going on, guys, and welcome back to My Xbox and Me. Of course, Matt would start drinking in the middle of my intro, but it doesn't matter. I am MC Fixer. You have Crash to my left, I believe, and Matt to my right. Hello, boys. How are we?
Very well.
Doing good.
Good. Today, we are going to be talking all things Rainbow Six Extraction. First and foremost, thank you, Ubisoft, for providing us codes for the game and providing us early access to check it out. And thank you very much for the previews as well. We do appreciate it. We've had the whole spectrum of this game. We've done a preview, we've done a review, and we've got some gameplay up on the channel right now. If you haven't watched that, go and check it out. Boys, we can finally talk about Rainbow Six Extraction. Who would like to kick us off with their initial thoughts?
I think Matt should, because Matt hasn't played Rainbow, and I feel he has the most unique take on it.
That's a great point, actually. So myself and Crash, big Rainbow Six fans, played a hell of a lot of Siege together. Matt, new to the series, right? New to Rainbow.
Basically, I would say I've probably played as many rounds of, I could count them on one hand, how many rounds of Siege I've played, like very brief. And so, basically brand new in here, I would say.
Okay, so what are your thoughts, your top level thoughts on just your opening opinions of the game, I guess?
I had a hell of a lot of fun playing with you guys. And I think that's what this is. This is, and don't get me wrong, gameplay wise, it is not. But this is Back 4 Blood. This is Outriders. This is my version of going down the pub with my mates. Gotcha. And we're just jumping into this game. And yes, it's tactical. Yes, you've got to be stealthy. Yes, you've got to communicate. But you could just play it on the lowest setting and not worry about any of that and have a laugh. And I think that's where I come down on it. I think it's a really interesting, unique spin on Back 4 Blood and those games that we've seen, because it wants to be a stealthy, calculated alien zombie horde game. And I think it does everything it tries to do very, very well. I'm excited to see where it progresses to. I doubt I'll be putting too much more time into it over the next coming months.
Fresh?
I like it. You had mentioned in the preview how much it played like Rainbow Six Siege, and I was like, okay, cool, that gets me a little bit more excited. And then playing it, I was surprised by how much it plays like Rainbow Six Siege. It's pretty much identical. And I know you said it, but it's always one of those things where people always say that about like games that are supposed to be similar. It's like, this plays like so and so. And so I was like, yeah, it probably does to a degree, but this really plays like Rainbow Six Siege. Like the tactical element, the peeking around the corners, you can shoot through walls, you can break down walls, all that stuff in a non-competitive environment, I think is very, very entertaining and stops me from being frustrated if I lose, right? Yeah. So when you play Rainbow Six Siege and you're playing ranked, and then you're like, I'm being the most tactical ever, and somebody just got an angle on me that I never even thought of that angle. I didn't know that was possible. It can get frustrating, and I think this gives you the same sort of thrill, but it takes out some of that frustration as well.
Yeah, I really enjoy the game. It's everything that I thought it was going to be, and about that. It's everything that I thought it was going to be. I said it to you guys, and I'll say it here, which is it's the most familiar, unfamiliar game I've ever played in regards to Rainbow Six Siege. Like, if you've played Rainbow Six Siege, you know exactly what you are getting in terms of its gameplay. Everything down to operators' abilities, down to the way operators move, in terms of the guns, in terms of it is Rainbow Six Siege reskinned for a non-PvP mode. Anyone who played I think it was Outbreak, it was called? Operation Outbreak mode. Anybody who has played that mode, that was the test bed for what Extraction is and has become. It is more built out than that mode, obviously, where that was a mode and this is an entire game. But it is a lot of fun. And if you are a Rainbow fan, I think you will be absolutely excited to jump in and play this game. And if you're not a Rainbow fan, I think you're going to struggle at the start. But I think if you give it time, you will learn to appreciate what Rainbow Six is. I think that's a fair statement. Gameplay, we've touched on, but let's get deep into it, I guess, guys. Which is, what on earth are you doing in Rainbow Six Extraction? Right? It's pretty self-explanatory of what you're doing. It is you, either single player, duos, or trios, going into 4 different maps. You've got New York, you've got Alaska, and you have
San Francisco.
And then the last one is Truth, or I forget the name. It's not the name.
I've literally just unlocked that one. So
Truth or Consequence.
I think that's a great place to actually talk about time we spent in the game. So I've got around 12 hours. Matt?
I think I'm 10. I think I'm somewhere in the 10 region.
It's about 11 when I checked last. Anyway, so about 11. And Kresh, you're sitting around...
Last time you told me how much I was at like 18. So I assume
20
I'm
plus.
probably at like 20 now. Yeah.
You're at 20 plus.
Around
20
there.
plus. Yeah. I've got my New York up to 65% done on my studies. So, for people who don't know, each of the areas have this study system in the game. So what that is it's kind of, it starts off very basic and very easy. It's kind of like your objectives of how you complete, in quotes, the levels, the missions, in terms of like, if you're a completionist, this is how you're going to quote unquote complete Rainbow Six Extraction, right? Is by getting all of your studies done. So that can be down to pinging enemies, killing enemies a certain type of way, stealth kills, a number of different things. And that, all that is it doesn't get in your way in any time, but it just allows you to have a sense of progression all of the time while playing the game.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Like challenges that you would find in Fortnite, right? Like you can jump into a Fortnite game and not worry about them, or you can do them to unlock other stuff, right? And it's kind of that sort of idea.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say, like, I got to 100% in New York. Because I grinded it for the Let's Play that's going to be coming out is us playing on the hardest difficulty. And so I grinded it out the day before to get it there. And the quickest way to get those beginning levels is to actually complete those challenges.
Gotcha.
I will say, after I kept playing New York after that and not having those additional challenges, it kind of felt less rewarding. That I do wish that the game did give me some random challenges. And that might be something they add later on. And that's also not the end game. So I don't think I'm supposed to keep playing that continuously, right? Yeah. But I do like that system. It does feel rewarding. I wish that there was a little bit more depth in terms of the challenges, in terms of just giving me something a little bit more unique. Granted, we haven't seen all the ones in the very last one because I don't think any of us really played that one. So
no, I think the most time we spent, I played one mission on that last area because I just unlocked it before we sat down to do the review, and I was like, oh. Okay, that will do. I guess this is all I get to try out. But yeah. So gameplay wise, you have your studies, and then obviously as you go into each mission, you have your objectives of what it is you're actually going to be doing in each of these different locations, whether it be New York and all the other areas in which we spoke about. I enjoy that element of the game. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think we're going to say the same thing because I can tell by the tone in your voice. Yeah, you're right. So you have these 4 different areas. Each of them have 3 different levels within. And I think the level design of all of them is good. When you jump into them, you get assigned 3 random objectives to complete. And you have 1 objective in each area. And then you decide, am I going to extract or am I going to plow through? And we actually found ourselves extracting a fair few times halfway through missions because it's a hard game. But
you're just bad at it.
Fair. I will take that. I will take that. I know you meant it as a joke, but
I was joking.
Yeah, but the more you play, the more you realize, oh man, these 3 objectives that it keeps shuffling around, there ain't a massive amount that it's shuffling in there. That you keep coming across the same ones, like very quickly.
There isn't really. There's no spoilers in this. This is a spoiler-free review, but there's nothing to really spoil. To be honest with you, but yeah. So you've got your defeat your hunter. You're a hunter. You've got your planting the mines inside the nests. You've got
Yeah.
your track the hunter back to the extraction area.
Capture them alive. That's a cool one.
Capturing them. It all is fun at the start. I think it's really fun. I think it's really enjoyable. It's very new. It's very fresh. You enjoy it. After around, like I say, 8 hours, I was, I guess, coming up to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, it's this again. Okay, it's this again. It's this again. It's this again. And I understand that maybe there isn't going to be like crazy amounts, but I felt the amount there is kind of let me down a little bit. Anybody else?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do think the different difficulties slightly adjust the challenges, right? They are.
It's the mutators that add the extra level of hardness to the maps. So for people who don't know what I'm talking about, the higher the difficulty of what you're doing in the game, adds different mutators onto each of the enemies. So it could be a case of they've now got armor, or they now have spores on them, which are like these sticky yellow balls that, oh my god, are a giant pain in the arse.
Yeah.
Don't tell them, our tips. Don't tell them. No one tell them. No one tell them. Yeah, and it there is a level that there is stuff that changes the game the harder it gets, but the objectives still remain the same. From what I played.
No, yeah. I think there isn't a whole lot of mutators as well. And I found us getting certain mutators a lot more than the other ones, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a mutator that puts armor on the nests. And I think in all our time playing, we got that twice.
Yeah. I think I only got it once, yeah.
Yeah, it might have even been once that I played with you guys and got it. And then once on my own or something like that.
But the blinding spores,
every
spores goddamn time.
And the one where they spread the what do they call it? We call it sludge sprawl.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, where they spread the sprawl, which is those are both honestly like really annoying.
Yeah.
Because the sprawl one, you'll get to a point where it's like you have to go in and clear a room, and people are going to be coming in, but you literally have the whole floor covered in sprawl, and it's kind of difficult to deal with. But I think that's kind of the purpose of the mutators, right?
Of course,
it adds a layer of challenge. But if they had more variety, I think it would benefit a lot. The lack of changes and the lack of challenges, right? One thing I will say is that the map design, I think, helps a lot. Because the map design is actually really good. And the variety between New York, Alaska, San Francisco is different enough, because those really feel like different areas as well as like the different sections. Like the New York has the police station. I don't know the name of the other two spots, but they all feel like their own unique spot.
That's a great thing to say, actually. Like each of the maps in which you play so you've got 3 different sections of each map. So New York has 3 different sections. Alaska has 3 different sections. San Francisco, 3 different sections. And yeah, I 100% agree with you, Chris. When it comes to map design, I actually think it's really good. I think that things move about enough, and I always found in the 10 hours, the 12 hours that I've played, I always found myself going into different rooms. I mean, I didn't know this was here. I didn't know this was here. And I think that feels good, considering you are playing the same maps over and over and over again at the end of the day. Like, you can change it up as much as you want in terms of playing different areas, but there isn't a lot there in terms of... There isn't ridiculous amounts of maps, right? So I enjoy what's there a lot, and I think it's very well designed, just like a normal Rainbow Six PvP map would be. It's well designed. It's got enough destruction around it. There's enough walls to break down. There's enough walls to barricade. There's enough there that makes it fun each time you jump into a round. Yeah,
and then also whatever operator you're playing with your squad changes how you maneuver around that map and how you play around that map and those objectives as well, which does add a layer of depth. When you add everything together, it does create a variety that you don't get bored of, really. But there is still that redundancy to a degree, right?
100%. I think the way they've done the operators is brilliant as well, and you guys will know this better than me from Siege, right? But like all of them having their unique abilities is really brilliant. Like, and the way the game functions in it being difficult, you will lose operatives in the field, and it will force you to play other operatives. Or, you know, maybe you won't lose them in the field, but they'll come back injured and they'll take time to recover. And so you have to play some other operatives and level some other people up. And I really enjoy that aspect of it. And it can be frustrating at times, especially when, you know, Crash is going to grind out so we can play the hardest difficulty. And I'm looking at my roster like, everybody's injured, man, apart from this one character I've never played, so let's go for it. And having that knowledge of Siege, if you have it, is going to help you. I think, yeah, it was a little bit overwhelming at first, the amount of different operators, and, oh, this guy's got a sniper. I had no idea that was a single-shot sniper. I thought it was an assault rifle when we were coming in, and now I'm not best equipped for this. Or this guy's got a turret. I didn't know you had to put the turret on the wall. You guys have taken the mick out of me because I wasn't using my turret, and I was
he was using the Jaeger and thinking it was Tatanka, pretty much like an actual gun turret, and it weren't. And like, oh my god, yeah. But
so
that's that Rainbow Six knowledge that we have because we spent
100%.
so many hours in the game. I think you hit the nail on the head there with the operators, which is, again, you are going to lose operators. That's kind of the whole point of the game, is each character, each operator has their own level, and each is upgrading and leveling up and getting new abilities and things for each of the characters. The game is very designed in being tough. Obviously, it's a Rainbow game, but not only that, it does kind of want you to lose in a way, I feel like. Not in a frustrating bad way, but in a way of like, we want you to experience this whole roster of characters. And we want you to level up Rook just as much as you've leveled up Doc, as much as you've leveled up Thinker, as much as you've leveled up Alibi, sorry. It is very well designed in that regard, I think, where it's like, you are going to lose characters are going to get injured, and it pushes you in a way to try everybody, which changes the way you play the game each time.
Yeah, it also does a good job of giving you some sort of player agency in when you have a character with like 85 health. Do you take that character? And on the lower difficulties, 85 health, practically full health, you'll be fine. But once even you go to that second level of difficulty or that third level of difficulty, that becomes more of a choice, and that can be more of a risk or a reward, because I really like that character. That character's close to leveling up. I really want to get that next upgrade for him. So I'm going to use the character. I'm going to risk it. And that might mean like, oh, we have to evacuate sooner, or I'm going to go down and my teammates have to continue without me, or they have to evacuate me, right? So that agency they add with that. And then also the React tech, the way you can equip different React tech, which React tech is different equipment. It's your nades, your stuns, your flashes, your drones, armors, all sorts of stuff like that, which is, they have a pretty hefty list of React tech you can actually have in there, which I think is cool. Also gives you a sense of agency and customizability, right? Because you could have a character that is really good for doing recon, and then you can give them a impact grenade so they can create walls or whatever. Or you could be like, I want to double down and I want to play pulse, and I want to have scanning grenades so I can throw those in a room. I pulse wherever the nests are. I see where they are. I throw a scanning grenade in a room, and then I know that whole room layout completely, and then it's easier for us to deal with. And it really allows you to play around with what the game has available for you.
Agree. I totally agree. I think for me, it's a perfect balance between what I wanted it to be in terms of Rainbow and something new. I do think they get that part right. That doesn't mean that it's a perfect game, because it isn't by any stretch of the imagination. But I do enjoy it, and I do think it's a great companion app to Rainbow Six. Do you know what I mean? Siege. If you are someone who is still in the Rainbow Six community and you are playing this game, Rainbow Six Siege non-stop, I think it is going to be a fun little break to go and play Extraction with your friends for a little bit. I wish they spoke to each other a little bit more. I wish there was something they could do for the games to speak to each other. I understand why they don't. I do understand it, but I do think it would be like a Call of Duty Warzone type thing, right? Where like Warzone talks to the other Call of Duty games. Right. I think Rainbow Six Extraction should, in some way, shape, or form, be able to speak to Rainbow Six Siege, and I think it would make for a not a better experience, just a more fulfilling experience, because you would know, I'm putting all this time into this other game, But if I do go to PvP, I'm still getting something out of it into the actual thing that I care about more, you know?
I think you're spot on because there is no incentive for me as a person who's barely touched Siege to go back into Siege now, which is crazy, right? Like, I've enjoyed playing this game with you. Why is there no pop-up that's like, hey, you just unlocked the skin in Siege, go check it out? Like, that's surely is a slam dunk, especially when it's coming to Game Pass and you're going to have a lot of people a hell of a lot of people in my situation. And you want to get them over to Siege, right? Because there is more replayability inherently in a PvP scenario than there is in
PvE.
Extraction, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
100%. Crash, anything we haven't touched on that you want to point out?
I do want to talk about what you guys were talking about, like the interconnectivity between the two. Just to defend the game a little bit, is that Extraction, as far as like its skins and stuff, it goes really out there with some of the stuff that they have available that you couldn't get away with in Siege.
Agree.
And you could do some sort of interconnectivity with to like a lesser degree for like some of the gun skins and stuff like that. But I don't think it would be super fulfilling to the degree that most people would want. It would feel very limited, or it would be very busted in the multiplayer and the PvP, right? So I do think that decision probably partly came down to that.
It perfectly makes sense. I understand why it doesn't talk to each other. I just think it would be nice if it did in some way, shape, or form. I think it would be cool. We didn't get to endgame, right?
No, we did not.
So we can't speak on endgame. That's not something that we can talk on, unfortunately.
I like the concept. It seems cool. From what I've read of it, it's like you go into these levels that have operators that have been mutated, and so you are fighting against Sledge and other operators. Seems like a really cool concept. Something we've been talking about is kind of the lack of variety in the objectives, and that would be enough to spice it up, right? Like I do want to get there. I do want to get there and play it, right? I'm not going to drop the game now because I want to get there.
To point it out to people, that it is only level 16.
It's 16. So there's two end game ones. There's one that's 13 and
challenge.
One that's 16.
One's the
I don't know if one of
right?
them considered end game. Yeah.
Yes.
That changes like daily or weekly or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not super difficult to unlock it. I think I'm like a level before it, and I could have. We were
messing up a lot.
Yeah, we were messing up a lot, but also the server went down when we were going to do it.
Oh, yeah, the server did go down.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say as well, is like this game has a mechanic in it where if you lose XP. You will lose levels. You will lose operators as well. Like at certain levels, you unlock banks of operators.
Temporary.
If you drop
temporary lose.
Temporarily, sure, absolutely temporary. But it adds to that tension. I think this game does tension and actually, to a certain extent, horror very well. Like there is that element of like, we need to have a discussion right now because Crash is on 20 health, I'm on 8. Like, are we really going to push this? Are we really going to go? Because it can turn on a dime. Like you can get in a bad situation very quickly, and I think it's all done very well. And that tension is brilliant.
It's the loop that they've done with the game that I think was the most surprising for it, is that it all works so well and it all kept me invested. Yeah. And them showing you what objectives you have before you go in, I think works really well, because that also motivates me. Like, because it's this objective, I'm gonna play a Tachanka, or I'm gonna play a Pulse, or whatever it is, and it really enforces me. Again, it plays into that player agency of making my own decision for the best way to operate that. Maybe that I'm going to need a lot of scanning again, but there's also going to be an objective where a Tachanka will be useful. So I'll go Tachanka and a scanning mine or something like that. And a lot of that, I think they really, really did well to a surprising degree for me, where I didn't expect that. I sort of expected this to be like your run-of-the-mill horde game, right? And it really does more than just that.
Yeah, it encourages that pre-match conversation that I haven't experienced in another game, where it is exactly that. Let's look at our objectives. Oh, my Doc is injured, so Fix, can you play Doc? And we need something loud for that second objective because we need to take down that elite. So somebody grabs Trunker with the like it. I've never had that level of tactical team cohesion in a game before, and it's not always what you're looking for, but it is certainly something new and something interesting. And like you say, Siege players are going to love it because that aspect is absolutely there. Even when you go into the like second difficulty level, and there are 4 difficulty levels, right? Yeah. You've still got to have that discussion before the game, like you really have, if you're going to hope to get through these things. So yeah,
I agree with you on the. I don't know about horror, but definitely atmosphere. I feel like the
Sure.
atmosphere is nailed. I don't think I was ever scared, but I was definitely. The game makes you more freaked out because you are, especially when you get overwhelmed with enemies. Like that moment of like you're running away and just shooting the floor or you're punching the floor or whatever it is you're doing because you're just trying to get away from this horde of enemies, and like you're looking around, it's dark and gloomy, and you see a nest all of a sudden, you're like, crap, I've got to shoot that, I've got to spin around, I've got to shoot, I've got to keep running. Crash is almost dead, so I'm looking back making sure he ain't dead yet. Oh god, Matt's just gone down, oh screw him, I'm gonna keep running. Like that, it does have that, and we've had those moments time after time after time.
Yeah,
It didn't just happen once, it happened multiple
Yeah.
times in our 10 to 20 hours of gameplay each, which is good. That's what you want, right? You want that level of stress and hardness. I think
tense.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not a Dark Souls grueling game.
No.
But
Yeah.
it is a challenging game, especially if you play it with people who have never played Rainbow before. Because they don't know how to peek around corners. They don't know how to hold angles. They don't know how to headshot. They don't know about recoil on guns. It's a challenging game, but in a fun way, I think.
100%.
Yeah, it also like all that adds to the reward when you can like just sneak by and get out of there.
Yep.
I remember once you and Matt both went down, and I went and picked you guys up. And right as the helicopter's about to leave, I didn't get to put you in. But just because I picked you up at the right time, it counted as I extracted you also.
Yep.
And that was just a huge relief of a feeling. And I think that's what the game does really well as well. Because when you succeed, it feels like you really succeed at that game. Even if I think at that point we beat only one objective, or we might have not even beat a objective, and it felt rewarding.
That's what I was going to say. It's almost more satisfying when you don't fail and extract early than when you succeed and get all the way through.
All
like,
three. Yeah.
like there is something like, oh my god, we actually got out of there and we were okay. Like it's an awesome. This is exactly the feeling they want you to have, and they nail it.
Fair enough. Anything to add before we get out of it, guys?
And they could quite easily get me back in if they keep adding new content, and I'm sure they will. Like they've proven with Siege, we are gonna keep these things alive, and they've said that. And so it coming to Game Pass, I think, is great. They're gonna have a lot of people jump in and try it out. Yeah, I don't think it will be for everybody because it's that level of like sort of hardcore strategic gameplay. But they're gonna have a fan base here, I think, and if they keep that content rolling, I think they've got a decent little game on their hands.
So Matt, should people check it out?
Oh, 100%. Come on. You got Game Pass. Get on it.
Fresh? Anything to end on?
Yeah. Check it out. $40 if you don't have Game Pass, you should have Game Pass for an Xbox. But if you're not on Xbox, it is a $40 game. It's on Game Pass PC as well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So 100% worth checking out. Especially if you're a Siege fan, I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, if you are someone who enjoys Rainbow Six as a genre, I do think you are going to enjoy this game because it takes all of the best elements of that. The only thing we didn't touch on is story. The story is kind of non-existent, if we're being totally honest. It's not something that I paid attention to at all. There are cutscenes, and maybe you will care. And if you play it in single-player mode, you get a little bit more added story elements and things you can interact with. But that isn't why you're playing this game. You're not playing it for You're not playing for a single player, and you're not playing it really for the story. You are playing it for that sweet, sweet Rainbow Six gameplay and to have a good time with your friends, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely a suggestion from me. If you are someone who, if you have Game Pass especially, you should definitely try it. And I do think it is worth the $40. If you are someone who doesn't like Game Pass, doesn't like subscription service, and you like to own your games, I think it's one to worth buying.
Have I just one question before we go? Did you guys play solo?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you guys recommend it solo?
Yes.
Yeah. If
It's a different experience.
It's a super different experience. If you really have nobody else to play with, is this worth dropping $40 on it?
Yes.
Maybe not. I don't think so.
I think it is.
I think if you're a Siege fan, it is.
Sure,
I think
100%.
that's where I draw the hard line between if you're a
100%.
Siege fan or not.
But you're
I
better
do
off buying
think
a month of Game Pass. Trying it.
I was gonna say with Game Pass, it's definitely worth. Even if you can only play solo, it's definitely worth trying out.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to slap a like and hit the subscribe button. Guys, mistakes happen. It's okay. We are here. We are My Xbox and Me. We are trying to bring you new content every single week. If you are new here, you just click this video. Make sure you check out our weekly podcast, where we'll have more to say on all things Rainbow Six Extraction. Again, thank you to Ubisoft for providing us codes. And until next time, we'll love you, leave you. See you later. Good boys.
Goodbye.